Hi Hivers! It's been about a week. I'm sorry that I didn't post last week. I needed a little breather. Adjusting to the new baby and everything like that has really been something, and there's been a lot of changes. Anyway, tonight I'm going to share with y'all the first grade curriculum for my daughter who is moving into first grade. We again do school all year round, so like my other videos, I am showing what we're doing right now and what we're going to transition into whenever she finishes with the books that she's doing now. Just a disclaimer, this is just how we do things, and my first grader tends to be the one who gets overwhelmed very easily, so we have to step back and take a breather sometimes and things like that. But anyway, so I wanted to show you really fast what she's doing right now and then what she's going to transition into as she finishes her books. And yeah, so let's get started. Her first book that she already does, so my first grader and my pre-K and my kindergartner all do handwriting. I think it's very, very important to do handwriting, just because you want to be able to write letters, you want to be able to sign your name if you have to write a check. You want to be able, there's just so many reasons that handwriting is super good. It's definitely not something that's dying out in my opinion. And so with that being said, I make them do, or her, she does the prescripts, and she's into cursive, and all I make them do, her, like my first grader, all I make her do is I just make her copy the cursive down, and then there's drawing done as well. So I just make her copy the cursive down because I think that it really, really helps with their print handwriting, and I just tell her I'm proud of her however she works, unless she's really not trying, and then I will make her redo the paper. But for the most part, she does really, really good, and it's quick and easy, and it's something she can do without me, so I can school like the other 5 children that I school, and so this is something that she can do on her own, which I really, really love. She actually does this now, and she will do it moving on into the first grade year as well. So there's that one. And then she just moved into her science level 2 book, and this is the Master Books Adventures in the Planet World. I'm sorry, this is my first time filming on an iPad because my phone is charging, so I'm trying to adjust to it. But again, there's the schedule like there is in all the other stuff. And then the way that this works is it talks about how the world is, and the first day is really like a reading day. It acts like you were back in the time whenever, I think Noah, after the flood, and then there's questions answered. This is a 3-day. So the second day is usually whenever the experiment is done, you answer questions, and then day 3, you add it to a science notebook and say a scripture. So she is loving this book. The experiments for this one haven't got too intense yet, and what I mean by intense is like too rigorous or something that I have to try to plan for. And I think actually this whole book, because I did this with my 6th grader, doesn't really have anything that you have to go out and buy. I think there is one thing in here, and it is the planet system, but besides that, everything else you should pretty much have just lying around the house. It's super simple, super easy things, and they're fun for the kids to do. So that's what she's doing now, and will be continuing on into her first grade year. So she is also doing the language lessons for Living Education 1. We've already moved on to that. And she was doing Actually, this is the one she's been doing. So she started this whenever she finished her foundation phonics. This is a schedule. And she's loving this too. It's super awesome. The schedule is great. We started with the book Not Too Small at All, which I do not have with me, but this book has, I think, 3 different things with it. And the way that this schedule is set up is like Monday, Wednesday, Friday work. So it is super simple, super wonderful to do. It has 5 activities, but again, it's set up like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so because of that, you end up doing like exercises 1 through 5 in a 2-week period. And right now we just moved on to this book. This is the book with it. And it's super exciting, super fun. This book actually has all these cool things that happen where like there's little books that talk about facts and things like that. And if you turn like the pages, they have these exciting little pieces here, which are super fun. Like that's a map. We just read that today. So we're moving on into that book. We did read Not Too Small at All, and we just finished that one. And that one she will be doing into her 1st grade year. And then the More Than Words Level 2, her and my 6th grader do together. And actually my 6th grader leads this. She didn't in the beginning, but she does now. And it is a little more intense. This one's 4 days, but it has a lot more English with it, which I love. So the first day, it's a letter from the person who's writing it. And then the second day is just a mixture of this kind of wonderful stuff. I really like this bigger screen. This is the 3rd day. Oh, that's day 2, sorry. This is day 3. This is again day 3, this one. This is day 4. And then it starts over. And it does that every week. And it's super exciting. You get into scripture. You dig into like the meanings of things. They have to look in a dictionary and a thesaurus, and they have to write down antonyms and synonyms for it. And so it like goes right along with English as well as going deep into scripture. And I love how saturated with Jesus it is. And it's such a great little devotional for them to do. Okay, so she is finishing her level K, math level K book. She's almost done with it. Again, she tends to be my sweet baby that takes a little bit longer with things. She has to kind of process things and take breaks because she tends to get overwhelmed if like she messes up. And so I'm teaching her that happens in life. And it's just something that happens. So she's going to have to, get past it, and we work through it and maybe like breathe or go get a cup of water or whatever. And, but she is on I think she just finished lesson 30. So this is like the end of the book that she's doing. So it's Shapes Review. And this one is 5 days a week, but we don't really follow like everything the way that it's supposed to be. Like tomorrow is Friday and she'll be on exercise 4. So then Monday she'll do exercise 5. And so it has critical thinking with it. It again has a wonderful schedule. And it is 5 days a week. So she's actually almost done with this one. This one she is not going to do. Once she finishes it, obviously, she'll be moving into math level 1. So for math level 1, that one begins with, it actually has an extra book if you wanted to get an extra book that helps with like review pages and things like that, just to have a little bit of that extra push to really learn things really well. So this is the level 1. There's a cute little piggy on it. And then of course this one has the schedule as well. And of course, you're the homeschool parent, so you don't have to follow the schedule ever, ever, ever. But I love that Masterbooks continually has a schedule that's super easy for me to follow. All of these you read on the first day and do the first exercise. And then it's just very simple. It's like the Charlotte Mason kind of way of learning, and I love it because it's not overwhelming them with work, but at the same time they're able to really be able to grow and learn what they need to learn and become experts in what they need to be experts in. And it's actually also easier for me to tell what they're having issues in too. So like if they're having a problem with something, I can just go back and help them move past it or fix that one problem, and then just maybe practice things a little differently. And I love the outlook on the way that they teach things. But anyway, so here's the extra one. That one's the extra one. And so for every exercise, this one doesn't have a schedule, but for every exercise, like lesson 1, exercise 1, there's this extra worksheet just for them to have extra, if you want them to have extra, to really like pin that. But there's not an exercise 5. There's only like 1 through 4. So that's what she'll be moving into when she finishes the level K. And then right now for her history, she's on level K, her My Story K. This one is 2 days. It's 2 days long. Sorry about my computer making noises. It has a schedule. They all have schedules. I love it. And My Story K, it has a card collector that I think that you can get in the back of the book, but we don't do that. It has a map for each thing that you're covering, and all the numbers are the ones that you'll be coloring in. So there's a map in the back that you can get out and print so they can color it. This tells you what they should be learning that week. This goes over some pictures and talks about the vocabulary word. This one is super fun. It's your reading part. And then here, there's scripture cards that you can make. And then there's a language time, which is where they learn something in a different language. They learn how to say thank you in a different language every week. And then this is their activity, which is day 2. And then you talk about the helping hands and you ask them questions. And then this My Book Time is also in the back that you can print out. And it helps them with writing, and they answer some questions and kind of put themselves in the shoes of the social studies that they're learning, which is super fun. That one she's almost finished with. She probably has about, I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks left, and then she'll be moving into the My Story 1. And My Story 1 is 5 days, like the math. And we actually tried this book with her and had to, this is the schedule, went from this book to the My Story K because she was just not liking it. But I love the My Stories. Like there is other history books for Master Books that they could try. But I really love that My Story brings it down to like where they are, and so they can connect with their history before they go deeper into history books that are a little further along and teach like at a distance. This kind of puts it here with you, you know? Like you are the one in the history, because it's talking about the things that you go through and the things that are in your world. Like it goes into maps, and it goes into like a governor. What's a governor? What's the governor of your town? You know, and things like that. So this is the first day of that one. See, like this one's talking about family. Right? And that's history. Like that's the kind of history. There's talk time, activity time, which is writing. This one has a lot more writing. Exercise 2, so this is day 2. Day 3. Exercise 4, so day 4. And then it goes into day 5, and my story journal, and then you're on the next lesson. So this one is super exciting and super fun, and I love that they get to go so deep into like how history affects them, and how like it starts at such a simple thing and grows into so much more. And history and science are things that they're always going to be learning, and so really I normally give them a choice of the history and science that they're going to do each year, but for this I just want them to start out with some history that connects to them, you know, so they can get to know, well, you know, does everyone have family, and how did family start, you know, in Genesis, whenever they talk about getting married, a man and a woman, and things like that. Anyway, so that is her school stuff that she is doing now, and her school stuff that she will be doing in the future of this year. My daughter that is going into first grade, that's doing this, she does have to again, like, take breaks. She does have to breathe through things sometimes, and that's okay. And I'm saying this on this video because I want y'all to know that I'm a homeschool mom, and so are you, and because we're homeschool parents, we get the freedom to love our children and to raise them up the way that they should go. And so in doing that, sometimes that means that you've got to give grace in those areas where grace needs to be done. And she, like I've just showed you, she's right on task with how she should be. She's reading so well, and she absolutely adores reading. And the reading that she's doing is the Mighty Reader. Ooh, I wanted to show you that. I'll be right back. So the Mighty Reader that she's doing, this one is grade 1, and she's almost completely done with it. I love these books. These books I actually stumbled upon whenever Lifeway was still a store and not just online anymore. And I was looking for something, my older child that I was struggling with in reading, and my older child, my one that's in 6th grade, which I'm going to do a video on soon, she actually was really struggling with reading, and we were not finding something that was helping her. I was brand new into homeschool. She's my first child that I ever homeschooled, like, from the beginning, because my oldest daughter did go to public school for a few years before we started homeschooling, and I was so nervous about teaching my now 6th grader reading, because I have heard horror stories about it and everything else, and it was a horror story. Like, really, it did not pan out well. She was not reading well, and we were not finding anything, and I was just losing my mind. And I was at Lifeway one day, you know, because I tend to be a Bible nerd, so we were like looking at new Bibles and stuff, and we just happened to be in the kids, like, go around the kids section, and there was this book called Mighty Reader. And so I started looking through it, and oh my gosh, it is perfect. So it has a story, okay, and it has vocabulary, and then you have 5 days or 6 days. I read it for 7 days, so it's 6 days. So you have 6 days where you're dedicated to reading the same story a different way, and there's questions to be answered, which makes it so fun. It helps with comprehension and everything like that. So the first day, I read it to them, and I read the vocabulary with them, and we go over what it means, and then they have to repeat the vocabulary with me, right? So day 1 is an echo read, okay? An echo read is when I read a line, like one sentence, and then she'll read one sentence. Or I'll read 2 sentences, and then she'll read 2 sentences, whichever one's easier for her. And then the next day is a choral read. So the choral read is when we read it at the exact same time. And then the next day, day 3, is a closed read. And that's where I read it and stop on the vocabulary words or the red words, and she reads the red words. And then there's a partner read, and the partner read is where I read a paragraph and then she reads a paragraph. And then day 5 is the independent reader, where she reads the whole thing by herself. And then day 6, she reads the whole thing by herself again, but it's timed. So you set a timer for 1 minute and see how fast she can read it. So, and they always love that. Like, I know that that sounds scary and stressful, but you'll be surprised with how much your child absolutely adores seeing how fast they can read. And like, no matter how fast they can read, whatever they get done, you get super excited for them and celebrate that they were able to read that far. And then each day there's also questions, like this one is reread paragraph 2. What did God ask Noah to do? And then they have to answer the question. And so she has 1 story left in this book, and she's on day 5. So tomorrow will be her independent read. And then she'll be on the very last story of this book, of the level 1, and she'll be moving into Mighty Reader level 2. So Mighty Reader level 2 is the same thing. It's the same thing. There's just a little bit bigger words, and the questions are a little bit more intense. So she absolutely loves these books. I mean, adores them, and it has caused her to fall so deeply in love with reading. And that is just awesome. So for our children, once they learn how to read and they can read pretty well on their own, we present them with a Bible with their name on it, engraved in it. It's their very first Bible, and then they get to get up in the morning and do Bible study with mom. And so that is like such a special thing that they get to do, and they love it, they enjoy it, and they work so hard to get there. Because for our family, for the Beeson family, our theory is that you can't truly walk with God if you don't know what He says, don't know what His Word is. It's very, 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 very important to read your Word, to read the Bible, so that you know what it says, and you can fight the enemy's lies. And so for our children, reading the Bible is super important and super special. And so reading is such an important thing, and it's so fun. But it's all about us as parents making it fun, right? And so she absolutely adores these books. She cannot wait to get her Bible. I already have her Bible. I've shown it to her. And we're just moving towards that and growing in that way. So that, again, is what she is doing for her first grade year, what she's coming out of and what she's moving into. I actually don't get this book, Mighty Reader, from Lifeway anymore. I now buy it from Christian Book, and it's like $4 a piece. Like, it's super cheap. I think it's like $3.49. So I buy these brand new for each kid, so that way they can write in the books, whereas my other stuff I print off pages for them because they're going to go down the line. But anyway, so that's what I have for you for my first grader for the year 2022 going into 2023. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Like it, share it, comment. Make sure you subscribe. We love you. We're thankful for you. We are so grateful that you get to walk along this journey with us. And we'll see you next time. Bye, Hivers.